Hi everybody, I'm Rootskarn.
I'm Josh.
I'm Seamus.
And I'm Chris, and we're playing Spore! Yay!
The best game
Yay.
that came out of the early 2000s.
What planet should we pick?
DRM Online. Bullshit DRM Online is how I remember this
I want to
game.
pick Doom Planet.
But you know that Doom Planet is just like Red Oceans.
So
Are we
yes,
meat
we're
or
finally playing
plants?
Spore. I actually remember all of Seamus's posts on
Obviously
20-sided about never
carnivores.
buying Spore. And I believe he's maintained that policy.
No, I did eventually get it. So people said,
damn
"Oh,
it.
the DRM's been removed," and it's sort of. I mean, it like sort of works. It still like brings up a bunch of phone home bullshit. I think the servers still need to exist, but maybe you don't need a proper login now. I'm not even sure. It just pissed me off right away. It was just
It's
stupid and pointless.
panspermia!
Oh, it's the opening to Star Trek Voyager. Didn't
So do
need to be
people-
reminded of that.
So do people even remember the hype about this game anymore?
Oh my god, it was one of the most hyped games I've ever heard
I
of.
was super. I self
Almost.
when I saw the demos of like the creature builder, I was like, I need to play this game right now.
Well, yeah, it was almost exclusively because of like the GDC demos that Will Wright did of the game. And then it turned out that there was literally no more depth than what he showed, and in some cases actually less depth than what he showed.
Significantly less depth actually sounds more honest. A more honest way of putting it. Also, I don't know if this I don't want to sound like that guy, but this game really did also come off as a lot more cartoony and childish than I think it was advertised.
Oh yeah, I agree completely. I like, especially since the initial demos were very much not cartoony. Like, they were a little bit cartoony, but they were much more serious looking. Whereas
Much more
like-
Sim City, Sim Earth kind of vibe.
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
With the game-
you actually remember Sim Earth.
Yeah.
That was basically
With the
the
game-
the Spore prototype
What
kind
the game
of thing
promised, and
from
what the game
early
technically
90s.
delivered was a game where you take a creature from a single-celled organism to a international spacefaring species, and again, that's the game we got. But what it lacked, and what we'd sort of assumed it would contain, was some kind of feeling of cohesion between these steps. Was some kind of
Yeah.
feeling like you are witnessing a grand epic story, not a bunch of different kind of crappy minigames, just like this one.
Don't die, Camster.
Hello.
Like right now,
Yeah,
you don't
and that's what
feel-
this kind of turned into, is a series of mini games rather than a
And people wanted to
real
blame this on
cohesive
EA,
strategy game.
but we don't actually know what happened. I mean, I've read like rumors. I wish I could remember where. People said, oh, it came back from playtesting, or somebody didn't get it and they wanted the game to be dumbed down. I would just love to know what really happened. What
I've
happened
read
to this
that
game?
Single-celled
was
organisms
a-
mating. Because that makes sense.
well,
Yeah,
actually
see,
there are
stuff like
single-celled
this,
organisms that reproduce sexually.
It's business time.
What I've read is that become a carnivore. What I've read is that there was like a real internal conflict going on between like certain factions within the company wanted to do the like deep simulation stuff, and other factions which are what the okay, that was weird looking. I don't know if that was a stream thing, but everything started flashing. But other factions, and I think Will Wright was on this side, wanted to do the game as it ended up being, with a very big focus on procedural content generation, and not a huge focus on gameplay or anything else that's terribly interesting or
which
meaningful.
sucks because there isn't a whole lot of good gameplay here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's not. It feels like what's really frustrating is you always feel like you're just about to get to the good bits. It feels like just any minute all this stuff that the game is making and all these ideas are going to start to pay off. But it never really does. It never comes together. And it's like, oh yeah, that seemed real important a second ago, but forget all about that, and now you're doing something else.
And you know, that unifying element that could have been good gameplay, that could have been like the feeling of witnessing a storyline from beginning to end that's uniquely yours, it doesn't really contain that feeling either.
No.
Something I do like about the touch of this is how, as you're getting bigger, you can see like much larger creatures in the background.
Yes.
That you'll eventually get to the size of.
Yeah,
right,
like,
and it does give
touches like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does give you a sense. Oh, I'm really big now, and then you see something big in the background, and you realize, oh, I'm probably still microscopic.
Yeah.
I'm probably not even tadpole sized yet. I think part of what throws it off is the bubbles. Having bubbles down on the microscopic level is a little confusing visually. It makes you assume, because
I
we know how
think you're
big
not
bubbles
supposed to be microscopic at this point.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. That thing in the background might be actually big. But the point is, you kind of see these bubbles at all layers, I think. Or maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know, when you see a bubble, you kind of assume it's the size of a bubble in a glass of water. And you use that for a cue for scale. And that's obviously, you know, not correct.
And I think there are several problems with
Oh, son of a
the
bitch!
procedural content generation in this game. Guys steal your lunch, Campster. You know, if you were a carnivore, you could eat
I
them.
know. Why does anybody play as not a carnivore?
And I think one of them was that like they decided to go this like cutesy kind of kitty route, because I found it really hard to make a creature that looked cool.
Yeah.
Because it would still have googly eyes and look kind of ridiculous.
I
The
wouldn't
eyes are a
mind it not
huge
looking.
problem.
I wouldn't mind them not looking cool, but it also doesn't really look whimsical or fun. A lot of them just look like ass monsters, and that's fine. Haha, I made a dick monster. Haha, this one looks like a butt. But if you're actually, you know, trying to make something, it's actually really hard. You know, if this is a game for kids, it's actually really hard for kids to make something that they're going to find appealing. Assuming they don't want to make a dick.
Oh shit, Campster, you need to get the fuck out of Dodge.
I would recommend not letting him eat you.
Saved by sex.
Another...
He was like, I was gonna eat that guy, but then there were two of them, and that just wouldn't be right.
And then they were mating, and it got really awkward. And I just kind of left. And this is... You can see the other problem with the procedural generation that we'll see more of later, which is that it's not deep at all.
No,
like it's
no.
it's very deep in terms of like what you can actually do in like variation of body type and stuff, but none of that actually matters. The way your creature is constructed doesn't actually affect anything with the creature at all. It's
actually
what these...
It does at this level. This is the only level where it even remotely does.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, where you
Yeah,
place the
because
spikes.
Spinies.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
But
like for the most part,
yeah. But later
what's
on,
much
it's
more
just...
important about your
Go ahead.
What's much more important about your creature is the specific type of mouth you put on it. It doesn't matter where that mouth is. That mouth could be in its butt, but that doesn't matter. It's that you have a specific kind of mouth that dictates what it does.
And by far, this is the biggest tease about the game. And this is the part where I don't buy that, oh, it was working perfectly, but then they canned it. No, I think that what they implied was that things like the length of your leg and like the positioning of your claws and mouth would have direct emergent consequences, and that, you know, strategizing in this capacity would make you more effective, and I don't think that was ever a factor. I don't think they ever had the ability to do that.
They might have wanted to.
I don't
but
buy
it never
that they
showed
couldn't
up.
have done it, because I think, I mean, with how detailed some of the other aspects of the creature creator are, I think they definitely could have made a conscious decision to like let you make a suboptimal creature because you decided to put the mouth on the butt, and that's kind of awkward. I think they didn't do it because they were more interested in like the, hey, I want to make something that looks cool, and not the like, hey, I want to have, again, like an interesting gameplay choice here,
Yeah.
depending on the structure of my like, is my creature bipedal? How does that affect what it can do?
I guess the thing is, nobody else has ever made a game, I don't think, with that kind of thing where, like, body type has a pronounced effect. And so I kind of wonder whether it's even really technologically was possible without significant labor.
Right. The two
yeah,
ideas
I'm saying-
are fundamentally at odds. It's like if it's a creative building thing, then you don't want to be penalized for making something cool and have it, well, this looks cool, but according to the game logic, this is a terrible, terrible creature that is going to be dumb and useless. Or you go the other way and you end up with a really effective creature that looks stupid. So it's, do you want science or do you want creativity? And this is where
And there was that like potential danger of like the game logic doesn't quite work the way you'd expect it to, and you get this situation where you make something that looks like it should be effective by the game rules, but for some weird quirk it isn't.
Also, just because it just came up, this really bugs me that this game got it wrong. It said, hey, congratulations, you're on your way to sentience. You got eyes and feelers. You've been sentient since basically the beginning. It's sapience.
Yeah.
And I would forgive that in a schlocky, like, dumb movie about shooting aliens, but in this game, that really bugs me. There's no reason to not get that right. It should be sapience. Sapient is thinking stuff.
So here we see how the creature creator will work from here on out, where it really doesn't matter where stuff is or how the creature is shaped at all for this next segment, which is probably, unfortunately, one of the more detailed segments of the game, is the creature phase.
Note also, and if this is what the game wants to do, that's totally fine, and I'm not opposed to it, but note also that this not only does not look like it's effective as a species, this doesn't look like any actual real-world animal of any kind. And while I'm not opposed to, weird aliens and stuff, it would have been cool if the weird alienness was more emergent from the game world and wasn't just kind of obligatory. Right. You could make a, like, plausible-looking creature right now if you wanted to. Oh, dear Christ.
So, yeah, that's a creature he just made.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him eyeballs.
It's something that I really wanted to do with this game was, like, when I was watching it being pitched, I was reminded very much of one of those Discovery Channel like documentaries. It was actually one of the series that was like Walking with Dinosaurs. It was called Walking with Monsters, and it like detailed from the very earliest like complex animal life up to the dinosaurs. And I really wanted this game to be kind of like, okay, you start out with that and you get up to, like, you just basically play that series, and you end up, evolving very slowly and changing body types and becoming a different kind of animal as you go along, and it didn't really fulfill anything that I wanted from that. Like, it's just super shallow even at its most complex.
Okay, so here's a question I think we're already ready for. Let's say this game hadn't been hyped at all. Let's say Will Wright was not attached to the project. Let's say it came from some relative unknowns. at the same time it came out previously. Would it have been judged more kindly? And would we still remember it existed?
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
it might have been judged a little more kindly, but I don't think it would be I don't think it would have been like terribly well received even at that. I mean, the same problems would still exist.
Right, this is fundamentally not an awesome game.
Yeah, and this is just so fucking weird here. It's like, this isn't any... This is a...
Murder
If
it.
any it exists at all, this is a really rare animal adaptation strategy. Impressing other dumb animals by singing at
Yeah.
them? What?
And that's another fundamental problem this game has, which is like it was sold as like you're going to be evolving your species and like it's a game about evolution, the evolution of creatures, the evolution of society, the evolution of technology, but it doesn't do evolution like, because fundamentally evolution is adapting to meet the current demands of your environment, right? And that doesn't really, like, you don't have any kind of environmental effects dictating, like, how you build your creature beyond your own personal
Yeah.
choices. So, like, hey, I want this creature to fly, I'm gonna give it fucking wings. You know, it's not like it would be
Yeah.
advantageous for this creature to fly necessarily. It's like, I decided. It would have
But
been
it's
more
like,
interesting if there was more, like...
Oh, and finding dinosaur
choices
bones
that
to
were kind of-
evolve. What the hell?
Yeah.
Right.
It would have been more interesting if there were somewhat more hands-off mechanics for how you built your creature, where like maybe the decisions you'd been making up until now had an effect on what choices were available to you, or
Like,
you know, the
make
environment you've been running around in made certain things occur on your creature without your control.
and I would have been really happy if it had had as much to do with actual evolution as Call of Duty has to do with actual warfare. You know, I'm not asking for a particularly in-depth solution, or particularly in-depth simulation. I'm asking it for it to be convincingly evolution-themed. As it is, it feels
Yeah.
like they took a shitty, half-baked MMO, made it single-player, and gave it a very weak, like, creature evolution theme, and then they attached a mediocre art tool to it.
I think you could accept all its divergences and sort of weirdness with, okay, this doesn't make any sense scientifically. I think that would all be forgiven if the gameplay clicked. If this was a fun game to play, we would just say, well, it's an abstraction. But the fact that it made all these compromises, and at the end of the day, it's this dumb, shallow game. It's like you either needed to be interesting, you know, you either needed to be smart and interesting or fun. You gotta be one or the other. You can't fail.
Right.
It's like, Chris, how much fun are you having right now?
I don't know. I just think I just had sex, so I'm gonna say really good.
And you're going for herbivore, right?
Because
make
you're
a carnivore.
dumb.
Right now, it's an omnivore.
Why aren't you eating
Oh,
creatures
man.
then?
You're really going to get to the point where breeding is the only way you're going to be able to stay alive.
I will say that, you know, we've been ragging on this game now for almost 20 minutes. Having said all that, I wish they'd made another one. This game is screaming out to be iterated on. This was a new idea.
Yeah.
They gave it a chance. It didn't click on the first try. I think there's smart stuff in here. I think there is a game worth playing in these ideas and in this technology. And it's a shame that we got this, well, it didn't make $1 billion the first time out, so we'll can it forever. Because people went crazy for this idea. There's a demand for something like this particular idea.
I mean,
They
they made Darkspore.
Oh. Yeah, they went in exactly the wrong direction. It's still
Yeah, they decided to make a story-based Diablo ripoff. Yep.
Oh. That's actually kind of a cool looking creature there, Christopher.
But it's again, like the creature creation tool itself is like very technically impressive.
This kind of looks like something that would be in the background of an Asterisk comic. Or something Burke Breathed would draw, like, after one too many spliffs in his college days.